All right, we're looking at area number 8, exclusion of pests here. Again, presented by David L.A. Rosson. Thanks for coming by. This training presentation was developed specifically to assist seafood and juice processors meet regulatory requirements for 21 CFR 120 if I'm a juice processor and 21 CFR 123 if I'm a fish and fishery product processor with regard to exclusion of pests. So what is a processor anyway? A processor for fish or juice means any person engaged in commercial, custom, or institutional processing, either in the United States or in a foreign country. Processing includes any person engaged in the production of foods that are used in market or consumer test. This definition is from 21 CFR 123 3L or 21 CFR 120.3K. Processors are required to monitor and correct and document the monitoring and correction of the 8 areas of sanitation, as outlined in 21 CFR 120.6 in the Sanitation Standard Operating Procedures, or SSOPs, and in 21 CFR 123.11 in Sanitation Control Procedures, or SCPs. So here's the 8 areas of sanitation. These 8 areas need to be monitored. These 8 areas need to be corrected if found deficient during monitoring, and the monitoring corrections need to be documented. These 8 areas also need to be in compliance with 21 CFR 117 subpart B. Take a look at these 8 areas. This particular lecture is on the exclusion of pests. Juice and fish and fishery product processors shall monitor the conditions and practices during processing with sufficient frequency to ensure, at a minimum, conformance with those conditions and practices specified in Part 110 of this chapter and in Subpart B of 117 of this chapter that are appropriate to the plant and to the food being processed. Each processor shall correct, in a timely manner, those conditions and practices that are not met. Those 8 areas we just looked at, that's what you have to monitor. In order to meet the requirements of 21 CFR 120 and 123 for the 8 areas of sanitation, they are required to be in compliance with 21 CFR 117 subpart B, the Current Good Manufacturing Practice Regulation, or CGMP. As of September 17, 2018, all juice and fish and fishery product processors are required to be in compliance with 21 CFR 117 subpart B. 21 CFR 117 subpart B replaced 21 CFR 110. 21 CFR 117 subpart B, which I've attached a copy here for you to look at in the class resources, covers the people and covers the environment. The 8 areas of sanitation are required to be in compliance with 21 CFR 117 subpart B. Your products are products of your environment. Your environment is the setting or conditions within that setting which a particular action is carried out. In the case this action is processing. The processing produces a product. The product is the thing that is a result of an action or a process. 21 CFR 117 subpart B covers the people, covers the environment. The 8 areas of sanitation need to be in compliance with 21 CFR 117 subpart B. Exclusion of pests is one of the 8 areas of sanitation. Processors are required to monitor the 8 areas of sanitation. Processors are required to correct any deficiencies found during monitoring. Processors are required to document the monitoring and corrections of the 8 areas of sanitation. Here you can see a side-by-side comparison. As I've been saying, exclusion of pests is required for juice processors. Exclusion of pests is required for fish and fishery product processors. However, Title 21, Part 120, and Title 21, Part 123 says, hey, that exclusion of pests, you also have to be mindful that you're in compliance with 21 CFR 117. So I've outlined here the line item mentioned for the control of pests or exclusion of pests. Pests such as rodents, birds, domestic animals, and insects are not allowed in any area of the food processing and or storage facility. Even if pest control is contracted to an outside company, the processor is ultimately responsible to ensure there are no pests in the facility. Your contractor failed. You're still responsible. Guard, guide, or pest detecting dogs may be allowed in some areas of the plant if the presence of the dog is unlikely to result in contamination of food, food contact surfaces, or food packaging material. Effective measures must be taken to exclude pests from the manufacturing, processing, packing, and holding areas, and to protect against the contamination of food on the premises by pests. There are numerous types of foodborne illnesses that may be transferred or passed on by pests. Flies and cockroaches may transmit Salmonella, Staphylococcus aureus, C. perfringens or Clostridium perfringens, C. botulinum, Shigella, Streptococcus, and many others. Rodents are the source of salmonellan parasites, and birds host a variety of pathogens, such as Salmonella and Listeria. So our goal is that our monitoring activities confirm that pests are excluded from relevant areas of the plant, particularly food preparation, food storage, food handling, and to the extent possible that we can confirm procedures are followed and to prevent infestation. So when monitoring for pests, visually inspect for presence of pests in processing areas. Use flashlights to expose potential hiding places and to check traps. And maintain good housekeeping to facilitate these inspections. When you find something wrong, you got to fix it. So, after pesticide and trap use, fly re-enters the processing area, you need to add an air curtain. It should be there already anyway, but add an air curtain above outside door and move waste storage container away from the door if applicable. There's basically a 3-step process to pest control. Number 1, don't let them in. Number 2, if they get in, make sure there's no accommodations for them. And number 3, if that doesn't work, kill them. Well, let's say it the nice way. Exclusion of the pests from the plant, eliminate shelter and attractants, and exterminate those pests that gain entry. 3-phase program. So you need to develop or work to develop a complete pest exclusion program with required monitoring for the presence or absence of pests. Then make sure you're looking at areas like the plant and the grounds, the structure and the layout, looking at plant machinery, equipment, and utensils, ensure appropriate housekeeping and waste disposal, and use of pesticides and other control measures. So I'm going to go through about 22 things that you could check off or create a checklist for. Wouldn't be required, but sure would be a great thing to do if you can manage it. So number one, are the grounds clear of weeds, tall grass, brush, and debris to minimize cover for pests to approach and enter the facility? Is there standing water on the grounds, which may attract pests? Are traps sufficient in number, well maintained, and in good repair? Are there signs of the presence of domestic animals or large feral animals, including but not limited to dogs, cats, or raccoons? Are machinery, equipment, and utensils properly cleaned and sanitized to eliminate the buildup of food or other static materials that may be an attractant to pests? Is there sufficient space along the process line to allow for proper cleaning and sanitizing? Are there any dead spaces which may allow for the buildup or collection of food and or other debris acting as an attractant or harborage of insects and bacteria? Are blacklight units maintaining the proper light intensity levels to attract flying insects? Are blacklight electrocution devices properly set up? Are the blacklight electrocution devices and the catch basins cleaned out regularly? Is trash, debris, and clutter picked up, eliminating cover for pests? Are personnel locker rooms and break rooms cleaned and sanitized to inhibit the attraction of rodents and other pests? Are there signs of rodent, insects, or bird habitation, e.g., droppings, hair, feathers, gnaw marks, grease runs from rodent activity along the walls, or urine ammonia odors? Have previously noted indicators of pest habitation been cleaned up in order to note any new or continued activity? Is waste material properly collected, stored, and disposed of in order to inhibit attraction of rodents and other pests? Are waste bins, tubs, and or dumpsters properly cleaned and sanitized in order to inhibit the attraction of rodents and other pests? This is an extensive list of pest control objectives. Check it out. There's a couple different categories of pesticide use: general use insecticides and restricted use insecticides. Make sure these pesticides are being used according to manufacturer's instructions. These different pesticides have different certification of applicators. So for my general use pesticides, a private applicator is fine. And for that restricted use pesticides, we're going to need to work with a commercial applicator. So general standards for applicator certification include label and labeling comprehension and safety, as well as mindfulness of environmental factors and consequences of use and misuse of pesticides, knowledge of pests, and knowledge of pesticides and type of formulations, including the hazards associated with residues. In order to meet the requirements of 21 CFR 120 and 21 CFR 123, the 8 areas of sanitation are required to comply with the Current Good Manufacturing Practice, or CGP regulation, or 21 CFR 117 subpart B. Exclusion of pests is one of the 8 areas. This completes your training on the exclusion of pests. Please complete the quiz and review all attachments. Thanks for choosing 123foodhandler.com.